Hey, what's going on everybody? Eric here. Hope you're all doing good today. Let's talk about making better brewed coffee. Before I get into that, please just take a quick second, give me a like, subscribe maybe. If you have time after this video, leave me a quick comment. And of course, there's going to be affiliate links down in the bottom to help support the channel. If you want to buy anything through those links, I get a little commission at no cost to you. Let's get started. So if you're brewing coffee at home, no matter what brew method you're using, be it an inexpensive coffee maker, a fancy pour over, like by hand kind of pour over style of coffee like a Chemex or a Hario, French press, whatever it might be that you're using, if it's brewed coffee and you're finding that your coffee doesn't taste as good as the coffee you get out, maybe it doesn't taste as good as your favorite drive-thru place or as your favorite cafe, how can you improve that? How can you make better coffee at home? This is within reach. You don't need to make a crazy investment. You do need to probably upgrade the way you're doing things in a couple little ways, but I think that it will be worth it to you if you're enjoying your coffee at home more and you're getting more out of the coffee that you're actually using. I also will say that if you do upgrade a couple little things and make that investment, you'll be spending less money out on coffee, hopefully, because you'll be enjoying the coffee you're making at home better, and therefore it'll come out in the wash. If you can do one of these, you're gonna get better coffee. If you can do all three, you're gonna get great coffee. So let's get into it. Let's dive in. I will say, if you are already a coffee person, if you're already a coffee nerd, you know these hints already. You will not get anything out of this video. But if you're just getting into coffee, or if you're just struggling with how to improve your coffee at home, you might be missing one of these hints. So let's check it out. Okay, so hint number one is better beans. It seems obvious. It sounds like, yeah, of course, better beans. If you're buying your beans at the grocery store, if you're buying your beans at a takeout coffee place like Starbucks, you are missing the chance to get better coffee. I really recommend that you support a local roaster. So the first thing I would recommend is you find a local roaster, a local coffee roaster in your town, in your city that you like, that you enjoy their coffee when you go there. And try supporting them. Find a blend or a bean that they're making that you like and brew that at home. You're gonna get coffee that is roasted in smaller batches, therefore giving a little bit more care and a little bit more attention paid to the details of how the coffee is going to taste. You're also going to just get a better quality of coffee because usually smaller roasters are buying higher quality beans. If you don't have a local roaster that you can support, one that maybe you just don't like what they are going on, maybe there's just nowhere nearby you, that's okay. I can recommend a subscription service. This is not a sponsor, this is just a company that I've been using a long time. They sell pretty big bags, 2-pound bags of coffee for an affordable price, and they all are through independent local roasters. You fill out a little survey, they send you coffee that they think you're gonna like. They're gonna send you different ones every 2, 3, or 4 weeks, depending on your preferences. And you're gonna be supporting a small business. You're also going to be getting freshly roasted coffee. So if you wanna support local businesses and you just don't wanna have to go out and buy them, you want it to come to you, check out Trade. There's a link down below. Anyway, avoid grocery store coffee, avoid coffee with expiration dates, look for coffee with roast on dates because fresher coffee is better coffee roaster, better coffee at home. There you go. Okay, hint number two, the next thing you're gonna do is you're going to want to get a grinder. Now you might say, I already have a coffee grinder. And if you have a grinder that is a blade grinder, has 2 little blades inside and it spins around, you can see those blades spinning, that is not good enough, unfortunately. A lot of us start off with those grinders. A lot of people use those grinders. Yeah, it's better than nothing. You are still getting freshly ground coffee, but a grinder, a burr grinder, will give you a more accurate grind size. Not to get too nerdy here, but the consistency of your grind size, the more likely that every little tiny ground up coffee bean piece is the exact same size or within a range, will give you more consistent coffee and therefore give you better coffee. If you have big chunks and little chunks and almost powder chunks, it's gonna clog up your filter. Some things are not gonna get brewed because they're too big. Some things aren't gonna get over brewed because they're too small. So a good grinder is worth investing in. It is going to elevate your cup of coffee. And a burr grinder is the way to go, not a blade grinder. Will any burr grinder do? I might say that almost any burr grinder, no matter how cheap, will be better than a blade grinder. There are some burr grinders that I would recommend, though that if you are not a coffee nerd and you already are on a budget, you might not want to invest $200 in a grinder. Both the Fellow Opus and the Baratz Encore are great entry-level brew coffee grinders. They have a big range that allow you to do everything from French press all the way down to brewed coffee and pour overs. I lean towards the Fellow Opus for the best catch-all kind of grinder for all brew methods in the entry-level range. Fellow Ode is really, really good, but that's kind of a specialty grinder that gets really a bit more expensive, over $300. There might be other grinders out there that are less expensive that do a great job, and if you know of some of those, please leave them in the comments so that I can check them out. Maybe you have some recommendations for good brew coffee grinders that will give you a consistent grind that you have found has improved your coffee significantly. No matter what you go for, get a burr grinder, don't use a blade grinder. That consistent grind size, that consistent size of your grinds will give you consistent coffee, better brewed coffee, and better tasting coffee. So that is the most expensive thing I'm going to recommend you do on this little list. Grinders are often not as glamorous as a coffee maker or a coffee brewer, but they do the biggest job. They are preparing the coffee for you. Let's just say you were making a recipe and you were dicing up the vegetables, and the person next to you was like sometimes cutting the onion just in half and throwing it in the pot, and sometimes they cut it really, really tiny and put it in the pot, and sometimes they cut it kind of in the middle, and then again. So it would be really weird to be eating something and having like huge chunks of onions and tiny chunks of onions, and then, I think the inconsistency, this isn't a great metaphor, but the point is consistency of grind size gives you a better experience, brews the coffee better, makes better coffee, better grinder, better coffee, burr grinder all the way. Okay, hint number 3, and this is not one that everyone loves because it is a little extra work for you every morning. That is not using scoops. No, we're not gonna be measuring coffee beans with scoops. All right, we're not gonna be doing that. We are going to be weighing out for measurements. All right, so it doesn't have to be a fancy scale. Just get a kitchen scale. This one here I think was like 20, 25 bucks. Any scale will do as long as it has, it's relatively accurate. If it weighs in grams instead of ounces, that works because that's just the lingo most coffee people use. But it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you have a way to weigh things out and it is somewhat accurate. And just like baking, you weighing out flour and things like that is going to give you a better recipe than if you were to use scoops. And that's why we need to be weighing out our ingredients so that it is consistent. And that is a big problem that people have with brewing coffee at home. It's inconsistent. Why did it taste good today, but it tasted bad yesterday? Why can't I get it to taste like that again? If you have a way to get that consistent measurement, this is going to give you consistent coffee. Therefore, you're gonna know what your coffee is gonna taste like every day. It's not gonna be rolling the dice. So a more like coffee specific scale with a timer and accuracy to 0.1 grams will give you more tools to improve your coffee, but it's not necessary. You might find that more useful if you're making coffee by hand on a pour over. If you are making coffee with a coffee machine or a French press or anything that is a little bit less hands-on, then a kitchen scale will be fine. And we're gonna be weighing out our beans every day before we grind them to make sure that we have a consistent weight of beans, that we're just using the same weight every time. And here's the one that you're not gonna love, weighing out your water. Maybe once you know exactly where your water line is, and you don't have to, you can skip this step after times, but at least a few times, weigh out your water so that you can nail down your recipe. The recipe that we're gonna be using is a 1:16 ratio. That means for every 1 gram or 1 part of coffee beans, we're gonna be using 16 parts water. So for example, if I'm making 30 grams of coffee, that comes out to 480 grams of water because 30 times 16 is 480. You can tweak that a little bit, of course, but that is a good way to start. So remember that 1:16 ratio and try that in any of your brew methods. Coffee is a dynamic thing. Coffee beans vary in size, coffee beans vary in weight, there's different moisture contents in the beans, there's a lot of factors. So using a scoop, using something like that is not gonna give you that same amount of coffee every time. So that's why you gotta weigh it. It's gonna give you an accurate measurement, and that consistency, that's what you're looking for. You want your coffee to taste the same every time. So you're gonna know what to expect and you're gonna know if you like it. You don't want a mystery cup of coffee and then have to run out down to the drive-thru place on your way to work because you had a bum cup of coffee at home. Anyway, trust me, weighing out your beans is going to improve, and weighing out your water so that you get that right ratio. It's just gonna take you an extra minute. Try it out. I think it will improve your coffee vastly. If you are to do any of these things, be it improve your coffee beans to freshly roasted, get a better grinder, or start weighing out your measurements, your coffee will get better. If you do all 3 of these things, your coffee is gonna be great. We're adding maybe an extra 2 to 5 minutes to our morning coffee routine. I understand that, but it's going to give you better coffee, and better coffee gives you a better day. And if you're going out for coffee, and if you're grabbing things on the go because you don't like the coffee you have at home, this is going to make your coffee taste better, by far. So please try this out. Let me know if it improves your coffee brewing experience. I would love to hear if this helps you at all. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you got any value from this. If you like seeing coffee content, you want to keep learning about coffee and coffee machines and espresso gear, please subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. Bye-bye.